The Caribbean is famous for its beautiful beaches and vibrant culture, but it's also no stranger to nature's wrath. In just the last 50 years, this region has faced some of the deadliest and most destructive hurricanes in history, leaving scars that will never fully heal. As hurricane season ramps up with predictions of record-breaking storms this year, it's time to revisit the most devastating hurricanes to hit the Caribbean. The Caribbean, renowned for its stunning beaches, vibrant cultures, and tropical climate, is also frequently ravaged by some of the most powerful hurricanes in history. As we head into the hurricane season, which stretches from June to November, the Caribbean is expected to see record numbers of hurricanes with the initial count of 23 named storms, the highest prediction ever. From the catastrophic destruction of infrastructure to the tragic loss of lives, hurricanes in the Caribbean have repeatedly tested the resilience of its people. With this year's hurricane season underway, we at Caribbean Focus thought we should look back at some of the most devastating hurricanes that have hit the region in the last 50 years. Hurricanes like Hurricane Katrina in 2005, Hurricane Harvey in 2017, and Hurricane Maria exemplify the immense destructive power of these natural disasters. So join Caribbean Focus again as we dive into the most devastating hurricanes that hit the Caribbean. Number 10. Hurricane Ida, 107 deaths, $75.3 billion in damage. We start our list with a hurricane that happened not too long ago, 2021. Do you remember which one? Hurricane Ida hit the Caribbean in late August and brought significant devastation to Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cuba before battering the Gulf Coast of the United States. Ida initially impacted the Caribbean as a tropical storm, bringing heavy rains, strong winds, and widespread flooding to several islands, notably Cuba. In western Cuba, Ida intensified rapidly, causing severe damage to homes, infrastructure, and agricultural sectors. The storm's torrential rains led to flash flooding and landslides, displacing thousands of residents and exacerbating existing vulnerabilities in affected communities. With peak winds of 150 miles per hour, Ida oversaw $75.3 billion in damage to the region and the United States, where it caused the death of 107 people. Number 9. Hurricane Harvey, 107 deaths, $125 billion in damage. Coming in at our number 9 slot, we have none other than Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey hit the region in August 2017 and wreaked unprecedented havoc, not only in the Caribbean islands of Suriname, Guyana, and the Windward Islands, but also in Latin America, Belize, and the southern and eastern United States. Most of the storm's devastating impact came from its torrential rainfall, with some area receiving over 60 inches in the United States. This resulted in historic flooding in Houston and surrounding areas. The relentless rain submerged homes, stranded thousands, and overwhelmed infrastructure. While Harvey caused the same number of deaths as Hurricane Ida at 107, the damage inflicted was significantly higher, with an estimated $125 billion in damages, tying with Hurricane Katrina as the costliest tropical cyclone in U.S. history. Number 8. Hurricane Irma, 134 deaths, $77.2 billion in damage. At number 8, we have Hurricane Irma, another devastating hurricane that swept across the Caribbean in September 2017. As a Category 5 hurricane, Irma's sustained winds reached up to 185 miles per hour, causing catastrophic damage on islands such as Barbuda, St. Martin, and the British Virgin Islands, as well as in the Greater Antilles of Cuba, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. On Barbuda, nearly 95% of buildings were destroyed, leaving the island virtually uninhabitable and prompting a complete evacuation. St. Martin and the British Virgin Islands experienced similar devastation, with extensive damage to its buildings and infrastructure, leading to significant humanitarian crises. Irma's path of destruction in the Caribbean resulted in 134 deaths and caused an estimated $77 billion in damages, making it one of the costliest hurricanes in history. Number 7. Hurricane Ian, 150 deaths, $50 billion in damage. Next on our list in our number 7 slot is Hurricane Ian in just 2022. Hurricane Ian was a formidable storm that brought significant destruction to Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the ABC Islands, Venezuela, Colombia, and the southeast United States. Starting in late September, Ian rapidly intensified into a powerful Category 4 hurricane before landfall in western Cuba, causing severe damage and power outages. The storm then barreled into Florida, hitting the Gulf Coast with devastating winds, torrential rains, and a catastrophic storm surge. Hurricane Ian caused 161 total fatalities, with 150 in Florida alone. In the end, Hurricane Ian became the third costliest tropical cyclone on record, with $113 billion in damages, with it being the costliest in Floridian history. By the way, if you're getting value from this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you. Number 6. Hurricane Sandy. 253 deaths, $68.7 billion in damage. Just under our top 5, at number 6, we have Hurricane Sandy, a late-season storm in October 2012 that inflicted severe damage across Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, and the Bahamas before moving up the eastern coast of the United States. Sandy's powerful winds and torrential rains caused widespread devastation, with Haiti suffering extensive flooding and landslides that destroyed homes and infrastructure already weakened by the 2010 earthquake. Jamaica experienced widespread power outages, uprooted trees, and significant damage to buildings, while Cuba also saw similar damage alongside some more infrastructural damage. Hurricane Sandy also hit 24 U.S. states, including the entire eastern seaboard from Florida to Maine. In the end, Sandy caused the death of 253 people and damages of $68.7 billion. Number 5. Hurricane Gordon. 1,152 deaths, $594.1 million in damages. We now break into the top 5 most devastating hurricanes to hit the region. And coming in at the number 5 slot, we have Hurricane Gordon in 1994. Hurricane Gordon wreaked havoc across the Caribbean and the southeastern United States in November, and was unique in that it cycled through tropical storm and hurricane phases multiple times during its lifespan. Between November 8th and the 21st, Tropical Storm Gordon made its presence felt across Jamaica, Cuba, Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas, after which it made landfall in the southern United States where the majority of the damage occurred. Wind speeds of 85 miles per hour, 140 kilometers per hour, ravaged affected areas, and despite it escalating to only a Category 1 hurricane, it ultimately left $594.1 million in damages in its wake. Damage was heaviest in Haiti, where heavy rains resulted in extensive mudslides that damaged 10,800 houses, with the resulting death toll of 1,122, accounting for the majority of the total 1,152 dead. Number 4. Hurricane Katrina. 1,836 deaths, $125 billion in damage. Next up, we have the devastating Hurricane Katrina, which struck in late August 2005 and was one of the most catastrophic hurricanes in United States history. Originating over the Bahamas, Katrina rapidly intensified in the Gulf of Mexico, ultimately making landfall as a Category 3 hurricane along the Gulf Coast. The storm caused widespread destruction in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, with New Orleans bearing the brunt of its fury. The city's levee system catastrophically failed, leading to severe flooding that submerged 80% of New Orleans, displaced hundreds of thousands of residents, and resulted in over 1,836 fatalities. The economic impact was immense, with damages estimated at over $125 billion. Beyond its devastating effects, Hurricane Katrina became notorious for the many failures in disaster response that occurred during the time. In the decade that followed, FEMA paid out billions in grants to ensure better preparedness. Number 3. Hurricane David. 2,068 deaths, $1.5 billion in damage. As we break into the top 3 most devastating hurricanes to hit the Caribbean, we come to the destructive Hurricane David, one of the most devastating hurricanes ever to hit the Caribbean and the southeastern United States. Originating near the Cape Verde Islands in 1979, David intensified into a Category 5 hurricane before making landfall in the Dominican Republic. The storm brought catastrophic winds and torrential rains, leading to widespread destruction, especially in the capital city of Santo Domingo, which amounted to the majority of the 2,068 deaths. After ravaging the Caribbean, David continued its path of destruction through the Bahamas and into the southeastern United States, particularly impacting Florida and Georgia. The hurricane caused extensive property damage, uprooted trees, and led to severe flooding, with total damages exceeding $1.5 billion. The legacy of Hurricane David is marked by its immense human and economic toll, highlighting the vulnerability of the Caribbean and the southeastern U.S. to such powerful storms. Number 2. Hurricane Jeanne. 3,037 deaths, $7.94 billion in damage. In our runner-up spot, we have the significant storm of the 2004 Atlantic hurricane season, which was particularly devastating for the Caribbean country of Haiti. Hurricane Jeanne formed in mid-September and initially struck Puerto Rico as a tropical storm, causing flooding and power outages. However, Haiti suffered the most severe impact. Jeanne's torrential rains led to catastrophic flooding and deadly landslides, particularly in Gunnahives, where entire neighborhoods were submerged. The storm resulted in the deaths of over 3,000 people in Haiti and 3,037 in total. After causing widespread devastation in the Caribbean, Jeanne strengthened into a Category 3 hurricane. She then made landfall in Florida, where it caused additional fatalities and significant property damage, compounding the destruction from earlier hurricanes that year. With max wind speeds of 120 miles per hour, it is no surprise that Hurricane Jeanne was the cause of $7.94 billion in damage. Number 1. Hurricane Maria. 3,059 deaths, $91 billion in damage. In our number 1 spot, we have the most devastating hurricane to hit the Caribbean in the last 50 years, and it is still within recent memory. Hurricane Maria became the most powerful hurricane of the 2017 season and left an indelible mark on the Caribbean, particularly Puerto Rico. Maria rapidly intensified into a Category 5 hurricane, bringing catastrophic winds and torrential rains that knocked out Puerto Rico's entire electrical grid. The storm led to a humanitarian crisis, with thousands of residents lacking access to clean water, food, and medical care for months. The official death toll in Puerto Rico was initially reported as 64, but subsequent studies put the real number of fatalities at 3,059. From Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria hit other countries such as Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands, the Bahamas, and the Turks and Caicos Islands, many of which were still recovering from Hurricane Irma that had just hit a few weeks earlier. With wind speeds topping 175 miles per hour, the economic damage from Maria amounted to around $91 billion, making it one of the costliest hurricanes in history as well. Let us learn from the past. Today's list is but a fraction of the devastating toll hurricanes have had on not just the Caribbean, but the world. Only considering the last 50 years, we have seen the devastating impact these weather phenomena can have on life and property, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There have been hundreds of smaller tropical storms, tropical depressions, and other smaller systems which have also accumulated damage on the region we hold dear. And we have not considered the many other hurricanes before 50 years ago that have devastated the region. Hurricanes like Hurricane Fifi, which hit the Caribbean back in 1974 and caused over 8,210 deaths, or the infamous Great Hurricane of 1780, which is considered the deadliest Atlantic hurricane ever recorded that killed an estimated 22,000 people. These powerful storms not only bring immediate destruction through high winds, flooding, and storm surges, but also long-term challenges in recovery and rebuilding. The staggering death tolls, widespread displacement, and economic damages underscore the region's vulnerability. Hurricanes are no joke, and it is important as climate change intensifies hurricanes, the Caribbean is prepared for any eventuality. Ensure you have enough non-perishable food and water saved. Prepare your house and property for high winds and rain, and most importantly, heed the directions of disaster officials. We at Caribbean Focus hope this list opens the eyes of everyone to the devastating impact of hurricanes and the need for the Caribbean and its people to take it seriously. If you're interested in more content like this, head to the description below for other videos we think you'll enjoy. There's so much more to explore about the Caribbean's history and resilience. Before we wrap up, we want to hear from you. Which of these hurricanes do you think had the most lasting impact on the Caribbean? Are there other storms that we should have included on this list? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update from us. This is Caribbean Focus, and we'll see you in the next video.